Hello everyone, welcome back to the Benchwarmers Podcast. Before I get into this week's episode, I'm a bit under the weather, so if for whatever reason I'm not talking or anything like that, it's because my voice keeps going for whatever reason. But this week, I'm delighted to be joined by Brighouse Town media manager, Damo Wales. Damo, how are you?
I'm good, Gabriel. How are you, pal?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So I think we'll get straight into it then, because obviously I'm not too sure how long you've been at Brighouse to this point. But what does your role entail at the club?
So my role at the club, like you say, it's the media manager of the football club. That entails I manage a team of 6-7 people, just kind of trying to create a good brand awareness of the football club, and having what I want to try and get at is the kind of like best media within kind of non-league steps 3 to 6, which I think so far we're kind of on the road to doing with everything that we do. So that entails we've got a radio station which two lads, Dave Foy and Cameron McAlpin, do who are very good. We've got a lad called Byron who does all our kind of social media updates on a match day. So he'll do Instagram stories, he'll do Twitter updates. We've got George Cook who comes down and does all our match reports for us, which are all very good. And then we've got two photographers. We've got Liam Ford who came on board this season after just doing photography just out of a hobby, to be honest with you, and he kind of said, can I come to one game and see what it's like, and he's been on board ever since, and he's back on board for the next season, which is amazing. And we've got Steve Amble who does it as well. Lou Steve's a huge part of the football club. He does everything behind the scenes in terms of laundry and cleaning the kits and kind of like sorting out the changing rooms, ensuring they're all clean. But on a match day, he wants to do his hobby, which is taking photos. So everyone in the media team has a huge part to it. In terms of what I do quite a lot, it is kind of maintaining the website and ensuring that that's up to date in terms of players that are on there, staff, sponsors, fixtures. It's managing all the social media channels. So our kind of main three are Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. But we have started to jump on the TikTok bandwagon, trying to get used to what kind of algorithms involved with that, and you know what kind of stuff we need to post to get good views and followers, which I'm still in the process of learning. And we also got involved with LinkedIn as well, and we use that to try and potentially get some more sponsors on board as well. And then kind of doing all the other kind of media side to it, which is obviously all the graphics using Photoshop and doing kind of all the videos, so match highlights. Obviously, we film every game. I make a match highlights package that goes on our social media. That's using Adobe Premiere Pro. And also like doing goal gifts and starting 11 graphics, everything like that is all involved in kind of my kind of role, doing a team sheet on a match day. But then also I've taken on a lot of different roles, which I didn't think I would take on as a media manager, but it's kind of a role that roles that I thought, you know, if I push it enough, I think it'll benefit the club. So things like helping get sponsors for players and managers, which we've pushed out, and we managed to get every player a sponsor and every manager a sponsor last season, the season just gone, which was amazing. Pushing our kind of season ticket campaign, which we had last season, which we managed to get 43 season ticket holders, which for the first time for a club doing season tickets was amazing. And then we also launched for the first time an actual online club retail shop, which we started off just doing shirts to just start off with, and then we've kind of expanded more. So we've started to do home and away shirts, keeper kits, polo shirts, track tops, gilets, everything like that, and the response has just been amazing. I mean, we've got one fan who lives down in Essex, which obviously you think, you know, why is this guy from Essex a massive Brighouse fan? And he just said he used to be a ground hopper, and he came up to Brighouse one day and he just felt so welcome that he decided that's his club, and he's literally bought every single item on the club shop, which is amazing. Yeah. But yeah, that's been a big hit as well. So I kind of manage that. I sort out all the orders. Once all the orders come to us via our kind of external provider, who have to make everything fresh, which isn't a massive help for us. But it's not really made our club shop decline. If anything, it's just made it better. But once that all that comes to us, I then sort out all the kind of delivery side and getting things out to all the fans. So I've kind of taken on a few different roles, like I said there, which I didn't think I'd do, but I've enjoyed it so far. And yeah, it's been good. So that's kind of me in a big nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about some of the people that you've got working with you in the media there. How did these people how did you find them, if that makes sense? Did they come to you with messages saying they want to get involved, or did you go out and find them?
So it was a case of that, like I say, Steve has been at the club. He's been around for 12 years, something now. So he's Brighouse through and through. So every match day, he'll take photos. Like I say, he does it for a hobby. Like I say, Liam, who is our other club photographer, like I say, he just dropped the club a message on social media saying, can I come down to a game and just take photos and just see, if I'm good at it or not. Which it came to a friendly against Penistone away, which it lives in Hetland White, so to come down to just other side of kind of Barnsley to do a game, which it ain't getting paid for. Once again, it's a hobby for him. Shows commitment. He's enjoyed it. He's started to do a lot more now as Liam. He's expanded big time surrounding just doing us. He's been down at Huddersfield and Bradford Academy, so he's starting to love it more, and he's nominated for non-league photographer of the year as well. So he's had a massive climb over the last sort of 6 to 8 months, and it's all credit to him for the work he does. Georgia had been around the club for a year or so before I took over from Tom Stacey. So she's kind of been in and around doing bits here and there. But I kind of wanted her to focus on the strengths, which were match reports. So and that's what we got for her. In terms of Byron, it is a lad that I've known for a bit. It was doing media at Silsden. And then it just worked there no more. And I said, well, I've seen the skills that you've got. Do you want to come down to Brighouse? And he said, yeah. So I managed to get him in. And Dave and Cameron were two lads that we advertised for. And Dave is a local lad. He's from Bailiff Bridge. He's a massive Halifax fan. If you haven't seen his stuff online, he does the shame and stats. So he does kind of all that. But because he's from kind of the Brighouse area, he's always been in touch with the club. And he just kind of said, I want to get involved a lot more with the club. So he saw the advert. I kind of told him what I'd like him to do. And he's now like our lead commentator for the Brighouse radio. And he does such a good job. It's class what he does. And he does match reports as well for when George is not around. And then Cameron again was also a lad that it was an advertisement that came down. It was in his last year of uni. And he wanted a placement to come and do some media work at. And I kind of said, well, I'm sure Dave wouldn't mind a hand on the radio, and you could do bits for the website as well if you wanted to, like do some articles with players, which he did. And they both worked hand in hand. It was like a kind of Martin Tyler and Gary Neville relationship when they kind of got working together. And even though they only had 10 games together, it worked really well. And our listeners just kind of went up and up each game that went on because they're just really good in what they were doing. So yeah, everyone came from everywhere differently, to be honest with you. But they've all kind of come together, and it's a really tight knit team now. And we're still hoping that kind of everyone stays for the new season, because what we had before the January lockdown was something special, and that's what I want to take into the new season with Brighouse.
Yeah, and so we've talked about how all these other people got involved in the club, but how did you actually get involved in the
club? So I took a bit of a I've kind of worked my way up the club in a way in sort of 3 years. So I started in the Brighouse Town Academy when they had an under-21 team. And the manager at the time, Wardy, I've known Wardy for about 8 years through being a Huddersfield fan. And we used to go to away games together. And he said, do you want to come on board? I'd like someone to do a bit of like my match day secretary, update our academy social media. And he can get involved in coaching a little bit here and there. And I didn't have what to do during the week. So I just went, I'll come on, I'll help out. But then because I got such close interest from doing what I was doing in the academy, I started to come down to a lot of the first team games. So I used to, I got close with Tom Stacey, who at the time was the media man. He's now at Halifax, but at the time he was the media man. So I used to watch what he was doing in terms of his filming, in terms of his match highlights, his graphics. And me and Tom to this day are still really close friends. But then after the playoff final season, he got offered a role at Halifax, so he's gone there. And at the time, I was a Huddersfield Town season ticket holder, and my intentions into that year, which will be in the 2019-20 season, was to go and watch Huddersfield home and away. That was my intentions at the start of that season. So it was a case of that we advertised for someone to come in and take over the realms, but unfortunately we didn't get any sort of traction. So I got asked by the club, do you want to do it? And it was a case of deciding, do I want to go home and away with Huddersfield, or shall I embark on this new challenge in terms of taking on the club's media, and trying to build it forward and make it bigger and better. And I just thought, it's something different. I want to give it a go. So even though I'd paid my £250 for Huddersfield, I managed to watch about 6 games that year in Hull. But after the first game, I just said, yeah, I'll take it on. So, and then I've been doing kind of like the media manager role for about 2 years. But I was doing the social media updates for that second half of the season in the playoff winning year as well. So I kind of got to grips a little bit with the media side, but I thought, I want to take this on as a whole. And yeah, I've just enjoyed it ever since, and I want to keep going.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned a bit earlier as well about sort of the socials, moving on to TikTok. You've got an account on Instagram as well. How important do you think it is for a non-league football club to have sort of all this interaction possible on a branch of different social media?
I think it's absolutely crucial. I mean, non-league has always been profound as a game of football for the older generation to go watch. That's what it's always been in sort of the last 10, 15 years. And it's no different at Brighouse. And we want to try, and we still want to try change that. We want to try get more younger people down watching Brighouse Town. So to have all these different social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you got different age ranges on there. Each social media site targets a different audience. So Twitter is basically for everyone. You've got Facebook that's more for you kind of, I don't say older generation, but you're looking more people aged like sort of 20 to 50, 60, 70, for example. Instagram's obviously targeted at younger generation, and so is TikTok. And LinkedIn obviously more linked towards like your businesses. So there you've just got all your target audience that you want to try to get people down to a game. I mean, it was a case of, you're talking like, say, probably 20 years ago, where people know about a non-league football game via a newspaper, and that's what a lot of our fans still get the games from, and when to come to our games is via the Brighouse Echo. But having our Twitter now and our Facebook and Instagram and like everything else, it's just so important because it helps get people down. More people know about the game. You're getting ground uppers down. You're getting all sorts of different people that come down to the games. It's just so huge for the club's future, for the club's potential to invest in fans, try to get more people wanting to watch Brighouse more often. It's just without them, I don't know where we'd be today.
And I think a big part of what helps from the social media is obviously goal gifts. So when someone scores, it's quite fun to see how a player sort of acts away from the game, if that makes sense. So I'm not too sure if it was you that to create the goal gifts or anything like that. But how, I don't know what the word is here, but how fun, I guess, was it to actually sort of see the players make these gifts and stuff?
Yeah, it is quite interesting. I won't say that the final ones that I post on social media are the first ones that they come up with. And players do have 4 or 5 different attempts at doing different ones, different ideas. And it's always a case that they do one, they want to come see what they look like, and it's always, my hair's not in the right place, or whatever kind of thing, or they didn't like the idea. But yeah, they're so fun to do. I did it on work experience at Huddersfield Giants in my college years, which watching pro rugby players do it were fun. So I knew doing it down at Brighouse would be fun as well. But it was more in it when Tom Stacey was in it, and then we've kind of carried that on. And they're fun to make. They're hard to make, but they're fun to make. You also got to get all your equipment set up properly, sort of lighting, everything, and then once you've done all the footage, it's all about the editing side of it in terms of getting the right background, making sure that that's animated, and making sure that all your chroma keying is all spot on. Because the last thing you want is fuzzling in the background, seeing bits of green coming out here and there, and it just making your work look a bit shoddy. So it takes up a lot of your time. I'm not going to lie to you. I think I spent about a week doing ours this season. So yeah, it does take up a lot of time, but they are so fun to make, and it does make your social media kind of better because you've got things that probably a lot of non-league clubs don't have. So it makes it different, and it makes your club brand look a lot better.
Yeah, and you briefly touched upon like education as well there. Have you been to university or anything like that?
No, so I went from school I went from school. I went to college. I did creative media production level 3 at college, and then after that, I went into an apprenticeship, just doing admin. So I've kind of gone down an admin route in life, and then from there, I've gone from admin to working in the further education sector, which I've been in for 3-4 years now. So I kind of don't have any sort of media background in terms of work experience apart from Brighouse. I mean, like I say, I did a bit with the Giants in college years, but apart from that, I ain't done any sort of media degree or anything like that. It was just kind of, it's a weird saying in football, but it's the absolute right saying. It's not about what you know and how smart you are. It's definitely about your contacts and who you know. And you need to get the right contacts in football because that's the only way you are going to get higher. So it's definitely about who you know. And lucky for me, I knew Wardy at Brighouse, and that's where I've started. And I'm always thankful for Wardy for always getting me on board.
Yeah, and I think a big part of the way Brighouse has been playing in recent years is obviously the manager, Phil Powell. So as part of the media, obviously you're part of the media. What's it like working with Powell?
It was good. It's very old school in terms of his manager likes to run the football club rather than just run the team. So I'm probably in contact with Phil every day, talking about ideas, talking about what we want to do, talking about shall we do this, shall we not do this. But it's good. I prefer that rather than having kind of like that distanced relationship where I'm having to go through somebody else to speak to him.
Yeah.
Which I know at other non-league clubs, unfortunately, that is the situation that some media men have to go through. So yeah, it's me and Phil have a very good working relationship, and his sound is funny, but he's also it gives you a lot of advice as well. So there's some things that he might say, don't do this, here's my advice, and I've learned a lot from him. So yeah, me and Phil work very well together.
And I think so. Another person who sort of brought a really good light to Brighouse is Aaron Martin, who I spoke to him last week about his time at Brighouse, and he said how much he enjoyed it and how great the manager Phil Powell was and how just fantastic the club it was. So as someone like Aaron Martin, who's now obviously made his way into the Football League, how much of a platform do you think Brighouse gives to these players who perhaps play in non-league, but how big of a platform do you think it gives them to move on up the ladder?
Oh, 100%. I mean, Aaron as a player, if you've not seen him, he is everything that you want in a striker. He's tall, he's quick, he's strong, good both feet, good in the air. He's honestly the complete striker, and I think if he were 3-4 years younger, he could have been the next Jamie Vardy, 100%. But we've had players on loan at Brighouse who are now in the Football League doing bits. So, for example, we've had Romani Edmonds-Green who came on loan to us in the playoff winning year, and he's now in the first team at Huddersfield. We've had Finn Cousin-Dawson who came to us last season. He's now in the Bradford City first team. We had Tim Akinola, who was at Huddersfield, but he got released by them. But he's now at Arsenal, training Arsenal's first team. So he's there, which is like unbelievable. And then we've had Isaac, who I believe you spoke to as well, who's at Park Avenue. But yeah, I think every player who is at an academy would benefit from going to a non-league team to see what the men's game's like. And I do think that it absolutely 100% aids their development in terms of becoming a better player for the future, 100%.
Yeah, and I think something that a lot of Brighouse Town fans are looking forward to, obviously. I saw how much recognition he got on social media, but is the Yorkshire Trophy. So I'm not too sure how much you know about it, but how's this sort of working then? Because I'm right to think it's on like a big group stage.
Yes, how it's going to work, hopefully fingers crossed it does go ahead, is that there's 2 groups of 6. So in one group, you've got ourselves, you've got Ossett United, Liversidge, Penistone, Emley, and Golka. So that's in one group. And then in the other group, you've got Campion, Steaton, Fatley, Eccleshill, Garforth, and there's another team as well, Silsden.
Yeah.
Silsden, yeah. So that's the 2 groups. Each team plays home and away once. So that's 10 games in total. It's kind of looking, it's going to be like a Saturday, Tuesday kind of thing to try and squeeze all the games in. Top 2 from each group go through to a 2-legged semi-final, home and away. And the final is taking place at our place at Brighouse Town. So that's kind of how it's going to work. It's hopefully going to take place over kind of a 6 to 7 week period, maybe an 8 week period. all depending, like I say, on guidelines, and it won't happen without fans. That's plain and simple. So if fans can't attend, the tournament will happen. And that's not us saying, we don't want to play. It's all about wanting people to get back out and watching the teams and supporting non-league football, and that's what it's all about for us. So yeah, that's how it works. But we're hoping, fingers crossed, that on April 12th that fans are allowed at some sort at steps 3 to 6. Because if they do, then it can go ahead. But if they can't, then unfortunately it won't happen, or it will get pushed back. But yeah, we're hoping it goes ahead, because our chairman James has said this for a few years. It's just something that we've wanted for a while. It's just to get all the Yorkshire clubs playing together. All Yorkshire fans watching football together and just having a nice friendly tournament. It's something the clubs wanted for ages, and I'm sure that all other clubs have wanted it as well. So like I say, it's just fingers crossed that it can happen, because it'll be such a nice way to end what has been, unfortunately, a bit of a crap season.
And sort of, you mentioned how it's only going to go forward if there's fans. So how important are fans to Brighouse Town?
Oh, they're massive. It's the lifeblood of the football club. And if fans don't attend non-league isn't a thing. It's plain and simple. Unfortunately, our games are off because fans can't attend, and clubs can't function without income from football fans. It's all right for these football league clubs who obviously have a lot more money than fans at our kind of level, and they can continue, which is great to see, because end of the day, I'd be bored if there were no football. I remember after the first lockdown, when they're like, no football for a good 2 to 3 months, and I was losing my mind. I was like, I just need something to watch. So yeah, without fans at non-league doesn't happen, and I'm sure that every player in non-league and manager would say that they play football to play with the mates, they do, but they play football for the fans to enjoy, and for them to enjoy, get out, watch a nice local team, have a few beers on the sideline and a burger or a hot dog, and just have a nice day out. That's what it's all about. So fans are a lifeblood to every single non-league team, even from, I'd say, step 1. And I know they're still playing, but even at step 1, fans are a lifeblood of a team. So it's the huge. It's literally non-league through and through is the fans.
Yeah, definitely. And I sort of forgot to ask this when we were talking about your role at the club earlier on. But obviously, a few months back now, it was December, when I first emailed you about coming to a game for a press inquiry and all that. But obviously, as a media manager, because you would want to respond to the email, which I've just checked here. But how do you decide who comes into the games and is part of the press, and who you think maybe just probably, I don't know, shouldn't be attending?
I don't think they're down to that, to be honest with you. I mean, if they say, I'm from the Telegraph and Argus, I'm from the Halifax Courier, and I'm coming to report the game, they can come. Unfortunately, in this season, it was a case of that we could only have a certain amount of fans in. So media-wise, we had to be careful about how many people we let in. But we don't tend to get quite a lot of it, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's just the level of football, but we don't get a lot of media requests. I mean, we've got a game on the 4th, our ladies team against Newcastle in the FA Cup second round, and we've had a lot of requests for that, and we've had to turn some people away because fans can't attend. So the last thing we want is to have like a stadium that's looking full of media people, because it just wouldn't make sense. So yeah, at our level, in terms of the men's, it's not something we get a lot of. So we get the odd one or two, and it's hard for us to say no, you can't come, because if you're representing a media company and they're either paying you or giving you work experience to do that job, then we're not going to turn around and say no to you. We won't do that.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in perfectly as well, because you mentioned the women's team there. Obviously, when I was playing in youth football and all that, played against Brighouse's youth team, like you mentioned, they used to have an under-21s team and a women's team, obviously the actual Saturday team as well. How important as a community club do you think it is to have all these sort of teams that tie in together?
I mean, our hashtag's one town, one team, and I think that says it all. It's kind of a one club community. So it's not we don't just have a men's team, a women's team, and an academy. We've got an under-17s team now. We've got an under-16s. We've got an under-14s girls, under-12s girls, and I believe an under 10s girls. So we're starting to build up our junior kind of club as well at the minute. And the club is a massive community. Everyone helps out each other. Like I say, we've got a game on the 4th for the women's, and myself and Dave are going down to help them on the media side, just to help them out, because we know it's going to be a decent occasion. So that's what's helping out kind of our club, and not just the team, it's helping out the club, which it's what Brighouse is all about. It's working together, one town, one team. We're all in it together as a community, as a club, and yeah. And having all these teams just shows that, you know, football is inclusive for everyone, and Brighouse is an inclusive club.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we'll sort of stick the non-league thing there as well. But obviously, there's a lot going on right now in terms of what happened yesterday with the National League fining loads of non-league clubs for not fulfilling fixtures, even though the season was cancelled. A lot of people are saying now sort of the National League board needs to be just completely changed. I know that Brighouse are part of the sort of National League system right now anyways. But do you have any thoughts on this? Do you think that it's completely wrong that they find these clubs, or do you think that maybe a new board's needed?
To be honest, I think it's a bit bonkers, you know. These clubs that are struggling to survive because they've not had fans attending games, so they're struggling to pay wages, pay loans, pay whatever they need to pay back. So they're going, right, so we can't play our games, and they're getting fined for it, you know. It's bonkers. I don't understand it. Fair, I've not read too much into it, if I'm being honest with you. But just looking from kind of a background perspective, just looking at what I saw yesterday, like the likes of Park Avenue getting fined just for not playing a game, and it's £2,000 a game. Like that could kill a few clubs in the end, you know. But they're being fined. So honestly, it's something I've never seen before in football, and I hope I don't see it again, because I just find it bizarre, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and you've also mentioned that you're a Huddersfield Town fan. What do you think of the side you made yesterday? I can never pronounce his last name, but Umar, is it Nias, I think?
Yeah, Umar Nias. He's been with the club for a few months now on trial. I think his last club for Everton, but I believe he's been at like Crystal Palace and Cardiff before. I think it'll be a good signing. I mean, we've had Fraser Campbell up top for about 30 games now, and as good as Fraser Campbell can be, he's getting to that age now where he's starting to tire, and it started to show in the last couple of games that he is tired and he just needs that support. So I think it'll be a good signing. We've also got Yaya Sanogo, who's been good so far in the games that he's played. You know, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the club do survive. I think they are a championship club. And I think, hopefully, fingers crossed, they will survive. They've got some tough games coming up after the international break. I think we've got Brentford and Norwich as our next two games after the international break, which isn't, you know, an easy run-in. But, you know, with Huddersfield, anything can happen. We'll lose to Wickham at home and we beat Swansea at home. You know, you just can't read Huddersfield Town. It's one of them teams which I say to people, don't bet on them. Just don't bet on them, because they're a team that, you know, can just surprise you. So yeah, Umar Nias, I think, will be a good signing. I think that it'll help Campbell rest his legs and get back to the player that he is, because I do think there's a player in there in Fraser Campbell. I mean, it's shown he's been in the Premier League, but I think his tired legs haven't helped him at all in the last kind of 2 months or so. So yeah, I hope, fingers crossed, that he's coming down to a level that he's not been at yet. But I'm hoping that his qualities do show it can help us stay up, and then hopefully it signs a new deal for the new season and he stays with us, because I think he'll be a good signing with the experience that he's got and the experience that he's had.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you think the season's gone in general then? Because obviously I'm a Bradford City fan, so personally I'm hoping Town go down. But obviously you sort of just lingered above relegation zone right now. So what are your thoughts on
it? It's a season that's it's kind of a transition season, if you want to call it. Obviously we ended the season last season with the Cowleys. They got sacked. I'm not going to go too much into that. But we brought in Carlos, which at the time seems like, you know, a good move. I think the club wanted to go back to the ways when David Wagner was at the club, in terms of the club control the transfers and the head coach kind of deals with the players that he's got and works with them. Which, you know, it's been an hard season for him. I think injuries have killed him big time, the manager. I feel sorry for him a lot. I think if our first team was playing every week, we'd be more lingering around mid-table or maybe just below the playoffs. I know it might sound a bit optimistic, but I do think if we didn't have 11 first-team injuries, we would be around that kind of area because they're all key players. It's why we signed the likes of Richard Keogh because we had about 3 or 4 centre-halves out and we needed someone in who's got championship experience, which, don't get me wrong, is a great signing, is Richard Keogh. You know, I've liked the way he's played for the last sort of 2 months since he's been at the club. But like I say, you know, when you've got like people like Schindler out and Richard Steeman who have been key figureheads to the team on the way in the first few months, which got us up and around the playoffs at that time. And you got them getting injured. You got Harry Toffolo, Carol Aiton, who was a massive part of the team. And he's on loan from Ajax, massive part of the team. The likes of Josh Karoma, who started to find his feet and became our top scorer within the space of 2 months. These players are big misses. So yeah, it's been an hard season for him. I'm hoping that after this season, the players all get the much needed rest that they deserve. Get back to it. We hopefully get less injuries next year, and hopefully try and fight for a playoff place again. Because I do think that if the players stay, the key players, then we build on it and get some exciting signings in. Then we can challenge up there with the manager, but he needs support and with the right players.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned there as well how you wanted to go for playoffs next season. Obviously, hopefully, anyways, there'll be fans back in next season, so I'd imagine you'll be doing a lot around Brighouse. Again, I've structured this terribly, but what are your aspirations next season for Brighouse?
I think it's a question more that Phil would be able to answer more than what I would. My aspirations, obviously, if the team to do well and get promoted, whether that's automatics or playoffs, that's obviously what I want to see. But it's down to kind of you know, how will the team do, what kind of players are brought into the club. We want to obviously keep all of our players that have been key to us for the last 2 years, which hopefully we do, because I think the likes of Kurt Harris, Josh Grant, Tom Haig have all been key to the club doing well the season before this one and then kind of this year as well. So you just got to hope that they stay and then build around them, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, we can be doing that. But I think that'd be more of a question towards Villa as to what's kind of our aspirations playing wise for the season. In terms of off the pitch, I could answer that easily. I think like I say, I want us to be the best media team within non-league at steps 3 to 6, and even maybe push that to step 2. And I think that what we had, like I say, before January lockdown was one of the best media teams at this level. We were starting to do a few more ideas as well in terms of Facebook lives before a game, going on live on Twitter after the game, things like that to just help bring more of a fan experience to non-league. So we had some good ideas to go forward into the second half of this season. So that's obviously going to have to carry over into the next season. But yeah, we want the club brand to be out there more. Before I came to the club, I knew a lot of people didn't know Brighouse Town. They're like, oh, there's a team in Brighouse, and they didn't know about it. Whereas now, because of the way we've portrayed the club out to the community, there's a lot more people that know about it. Like I said, there's people buying shirts now. There's people buying all sorts of memorabilia. And the crest is getting out in the town more, and people are starting to know more about it. And we're hoping to start get some adverts up around the town as well, which will be good. So yeah, we just want to grow the club brand more in the next year, more than it has been now, and just to deliver more media-wise, because I do think the potential that we've got now off the pitch at Brighouse is huge. Yeah,
definitely. So the last thing then from me, what for any youngsters out there who might be watching this and maybe wanting to get involved in the media or a local non-league football team, would you have any advice for them on how to break into the industry?
I'd say that a good way to get into media is to do a lot of things at home just yourself, whether that's just creating your own website and doing some blogs on certain things. I know Byron, who's down with us now, he started to do that for his uni projects, but the things he's doing is very good in terms of he's talking about Championship, League 1, League 2, different situations, and that's getting out there a bit more. So I think that, do a few bits at home in terms of blogging, writing different things for websites, get in touch with a few non-league teams at your level, whether that's either our level or the law, or even like Saturday League, and just say, can I come down and get involved in doing something media-wise with yourself? Because all that experience will help you, like I say, get higher up the pyramid. So yeah, 100%. Just if you're looking to get into it now, just do a few bits at home yourself first, and then you can show that to the people and say, this is what I can do, and then that'll help you get a job within non-league, I reckon. Yeah,
definitely. I think that's a great note to end on right there. So as usual this week, I'd like to thank my guest Damo. Damo, thank you very much for joining me.
No worries, Gabriel. Thanks for letting me on.
No worries. And obviously, best of luck with Brighouse and everything going on next season. And we'll see you all next week.